candy. Now.
And Spielberg will lend his name to almost anything these days, won't he?
That implies that this movie isn't good, which if that's the case, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there.
Are the 2 whole beers here meant to indicate a drinking problem? Did the prop guy not have whiskey bottles on hand?
What's the sin? That the movie is saying Charlie has a drinking problem or that he doesn't have whiskeys? Either way, I'm confused.
Importantly, where is my money?
Main character owes money to some asshole right out the gate cliche.
You owe Jack money too?
Wow, he owes money to more than one person? What a terrible guy that I have a feeling I should still root for some reason.
You know people like Han Solo, right? He also started off as a greedy person who gets into trouble just for the money, but he's still a fan favorite because he grew out of that mindset and into a better person. I bring this up because Charlie in this movie is the same way. That's called a character arc.
Can we get a picture with him?
Sure. For $5.
Exploitation of minors. Also, Hugh Jackman tries to charge little girls to look at his ambush.
Didn't you just play him saying he's charging them to take a picture?
From last time I saw you, you're staring up at the ceiling at the Sam Houston Center with the taste of my right cross all over your face.
The last time I saw you two together, Hugh Jackman was beating your ass, but he had adamantium bones and you were covered in tons of fat makeup. But I could also be confusing 2 movies. I hate when I do that.
Referencing X-Men Origins Wolverine in any way, unless you're Deadpool making fun of it.
We agreed that my boxer would fight an 800-pound steer for $3,000.
The robots are fighting living animals? Entertainment in rural America apparently gets real Roman Coliseum in the next 5 years.
Charlie later goes on a little tangent about how people want to see more destruction out of their fights, and Ambush is about to fight a bull. Yeah, I can see why people would want to see that.
A robot just punched a bull in the face.
Yeah, that's really cool, right? Oh, you added a sin? Okay then.
Stupid Hugh Jackman turns away from the field of play to accept kudos from the audience because he is stupid, and also the movie needed an excuse to fuck up his robot.
This is again sinning characterization. This is who Charlie is. He's arrogant and cares too much about recognition. This is a character flaw that he overcomes by the end.
This could have killed somebody.
But it didn't, so the point is moot.
Hey, give me that leg.
Sure, for $5.
Did these girls have parents?
Probably, but if I had to guess, they're probably out somewhere and dropped them off to pick them up later.
Also, girls who Charlie pissed off just happened to be in the right place to steal robot legs for immediate Charlie comeuppance.
I mean, they recognized Ambush immediately, so of course they'd be here to watch the fight. And yeah, you could say it was convenient that the leg fell right in front of them, but that's part of the joke.
That was redonkulous fun!
The fact that in 2020 we'll still be calling things redonkulous.
Hey, that pandemic sure was redonkulous, right?
Do you recall Carolyn Fallon?
Why didn't these assholes tell Charlie about his ex-girlfriend dying before the fight? My guess is they were waiting until the main character of this movie was at his lowest.
Or maybe they just now arrived here? Or maybe they got here while the fight was going on and waited until it was over? Why are you assuming they were here before the fight?
I'm here to sign some paper that releases my rights to the custody of my son.
Wow, selfish dickhead is dickhead. Why isn't he also wearing a t-shirt that says, "I break for me"?
We have now reached a third sin where you sin characterization. Yes, we're aware Charlie isn't a great person, but when the movie ends, he's much nicer and more understanding. That's how about 90% of character arcs and stories work.
The director said, "Hey, wear sunglasses in a courtroom. It'll make you look like even more of an asshole."
Moving to goalposts.
Thing is, we're supposed to go to Italy this summer with my oldest friend and his wife, 2 months in Tuscany and all over.
What? The kid can't go to Tuscany? This entire father-son bonding movie is predicated on the fact that these super rich people somehow can't take the kid to Tuscany. Italy has babysitters.
But isn't that too much of a hassle? You take a kid to another country only to give him to someone else? I'd say having him stay with his dad is way easier.
Evangeline Lilly isn't soldering my gadgets in this scene. Introduction of the love interest, and we already know everything we need to know about her. She's into boxing, robots, robot boxing, and is pretty.
That's it? yeah, just leave out her father and how he owned this gym and her family were friends with Charlie. This is the most surface level analysis I have ever seen.
The distance symbolizes distance.
So now you're sending clever visual storytelling?
Instead of simply taking Max inside and making a clandestine transaction, Charlie pulls out an envelope full of cash so that Max can realize he was sold during the custody trial.
I have a huge feeling that Charlie didn't think that Max was smart enough to figure out what the money was for. I mean, he thought he was 9 years old at first and clearly hasn't seen him in years. Do you really think he knows him at all?
Give me $50,000 to sign you over to her.
Skip.
Except this is a contrast to the later scene where Charlie is given the other $50,000 and chooses to forget about it. This scene serves a purpose is what I'm saying.
Man, Big Hero 6 really Ocean's 11 to this movie.
So wouldn't that be a sin for Big Hero 6 then? But actually no, since Big Hero 6 debuted in Marvel Comics in 1998.
How the hell do you know Japanese?
Video games.
But no, bullshit.
Japanese bootlegs are always better.
But you didn't become fluent in Japanese playing them, that's for sure.
But the movie is literally saying that he did.
Also, she didn't change his language to English. She changed it to American. So Robot will be calling it soccer from now on, assholes.
Aha.
By the way, when Charlie was calling about Noisy Boy, he was apparently getting a good deal because this robot was defective in some way, with things he could live with. But this robot is pretty perfect, and it's insane it was sold for only $50,000.
And yet he still lost the fight.
Can't decide if the Soviet-style robot fight posters are a sin or awesome. So, sin.
Nah, they're awesome.
Listen!
Give me a second.
We should take an undercard fight, make a little cash, and get the hell out of here!
This kid is right, and smarter than the adult in this instance, which is just cliche and unrealistic enough to earn a sin.
You really underestimate how smart kids can be. And you're acting a lot like Charlie right now, since he chooses to ignore this just because he's a kid.
We'll take Midas!
The guy who was sure this robot was defective after 2 voice commands didn't work is now certain this robot is top-notch with absolutely 0 training and without learning its quirks.
Have I mentioned characterization yet?
That is a very fancy microphone to announce dingy robot fights. Rohawk.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Easy money all night long!
Look, people are never learning dumbasses, I get it, but this guy seems to forget all too easily that his cockiness cost him his last robot against a bull. Yesterday, I think.
At least this time, he has Noisy Boy, who is built up as a super powerful robot who won a lot of fights.
I can't believe I'm saying this about a scene involving fighting robots, but skip.
Yeah, I honestly can't believe it either, considering these fights are really amazing and still hold up over a decade later.
That's what you do, right? Anything you don't need, you just throw away?
After school special dialogue.
Arbitrary TV reference.
Are we to believe that the searchlights don't even come around to this area? They just dodged the lights a couple of times and now they can go through this robot graveyard undetected?
I mean, Charlie did kind of address this in the film.
Once we're through here, there's no more searchlights. Quick, go!
Dangerous Deadly Mudslide of Death is basically a totally survivable theme park ride.
You know he would have died if it wasn't for Adam's arm, right?
Also, this movie is, so far, basically the father-son version of Romancing the Stone.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Machina ex Machina.
They're in a junkyard that has a bunch of robot parts. Of course there's one that's just underground that they just forgot about, meaning this isn't a solution that comes out of nowhere, which is what Deus Ex Machina means.
Charlie just saved his kid, which is nice, but he also almost killed him after having him for literally 1 day.
Didn't you show the scene where Max fell? How's that in any way Charlie's fault? Charlie even warned him.
Boxing, do you miss it?
Careful.
What? I want to know.
Careful, you're on a cliff.
And whoa, wait, what's this? Something hidden in the mud that will be this movie's protagonist?
Yelling at the screen.
I dragged this heavy-ass robot up a f***ing cliff.
I can't figure out if I should call this scene manipulation or not paying attention. Either way, CinemaSins didn't mention this scene, which would explain how he got Adam up the cliff.
I'm taking him with me. He saved my life.
No, you're not. He did not save your life. I saved your life. Let's go.
Could you just bring the car to the edge? I'll use the winch to get him out.
What happened to you?
I don't know, let's rewind 10 seconds, shall we?
It took me half the night dragging him out of there.
So why don't you listen when kids are yelling reasons for their filthiness?
Says the guy who I guess didn't hear Max say winch just 1 second ago.
The robot is named Atom, A-T-O-M, like the atomic age, but it sounds like Adam, A-D-A-M, the first man. I'd say something about how heavily they're anthropomorphizing the robot here, but all I can think about is up and at them.
Huh? What does his name sounding like Adam from the Bible have anything to do with anthropomorphizing a robot? How are those two things even remotely related?
Adam is this close to the trash cans when we cut away, but it takes like forever and stuff for him to actually hit those cans.
Jeremy doesn't understand scenes happening at the same time cliche.
This kid's mom has died, and I think this robot is the first thing to give him a hug.
But he's not? He's just picking him up. How's that hugging?
We both kind of grew up in this gym.
Hugh Jackman is 10 years older than Evangeline Lilly, so, not really.
They're actors. It doesn't matter how old they are. The movie is saying the characters are around the same age.
Marilyn Kova, daughter behind the father-daughter Zeus team.
Expositional reporting.
Isn't that literally the point of reporters?
Recognizes patterns and rewrites his fight code instantaneously.
Okay, that sounds like AI, or at the very least, Syndrome's robots from The Incredibles. Regardless, how is the robot-fighting governing body not cracking down on this obviously unfairly advantageous bullshit?
How is it unfair? It's not like it's cheating.
And as much as I like you, dude, you're a bad bet, brother.
Anthony Mackie from $1 Million Baby is right. But is this movie trying to make us feel bad for Charlie, who's been nothing but a terrible f*** up this entire time?
Don't you mean Anthony Mackie from The Winter Soldier? And again, Charlie is the protagonist and is therefore going through a character arc. A guy who sends movies for a living doesn't understand the most basic writing tropes.
Just peppering acid rot with punches.
Movie didn't want to show us that fight because it probably would have added $10 million to the final budget. So instead, let's get a kid to describe it.
I think that would have just padded the runtime, and we got a glimpse of Zeus's abilities on the TV screens during the roll credits gag.
That puts his real steel world championship belt on the line tonight.
Roll credits.
If he's still standing after one round.
Damn, did this dude get character lessons from Ninja before walking on the set? With this, the robots, and the Hugh Jackman, did they actually film Chappie in 2011 but turn it into real steel instead?
Arbitrary movie references.
This ain't a video game, kids.
No, it's fighting with a control pad, not like a video game at all.
But don't video games also require control pads? I mean, that's literally what the Nintendo Switch is. Oh, this video came out in 2015? Okay, then that's literally what the Wii U is.
Humans.
It's a sin for the movie to reflect reality.
Let me take over.
Money makes Hugh Jackman turn into my old college roommate Brian, who regardless of the game or situation, always swore he could take over for you and play better than you.
Yeah, but you cut off the clip before Charlie immediately stopped saying this and just allowed Max to continue the fight. This shows that he is starting to trust his son.
Teaching the robot dance moves may count as comedy, barely, but it definitely does nothing to help prepare the robot for the fighting challenges ahead of it.
Yes, but it does help. Charlie comes into this scene watching this, enjoys it, and tells Max that dancing in front of the crowd could help them like Adam more, so it's not entirely worthless.
The circuit just leave Adam Noisy Boy, and it works.
Kid uses the pronoun game because f*** you, that's why.
How is that the pronoun game? He's saying he took the voice circuit out of Noisy Boy and put it into Adam. That seems self-explanatory to me.
And in the span of one afternoon, he taught this robot boxing. We've hit that point in the film. It's boxing, it's an underdog story, it's time for a montage. I wonder if Adam thinks of clips from Rocky 1 through 4 when he trains.
You know the training montages were some of the best parts of the Rocky films, right? And you said in the previous Sin that it takes Charlie an afternoon to train Adam how to box, but then shows it takes way longer than that.
I'd like to buy your robot.
This offer makes 0 sense. Is she worried that this upstart robot has a chance to beat Zeus? Probably not. Does she think that Adam would make a great sparring partner for Zeus? Probably not. So what are we left with here, kids? A manufactured plot development? Probably.
Again, can you pay attention to the movie you're criticizing? Max, a literal kid, figured it out.
Think about it. Take the offer.
You think about it. Why does she want Adam, huh? Because he's different from other bots.
Yeah, he's different. He's smaller and weaker, and he's gonna get his ass kicked.
He's a boxer. We taught him to box. You taught him to box. That's worth something.
I think it is too.
And just to be clear, he's not for sale.
Tell me, besides a few dance numbers, has this kid done anything to endear himself to us yet? Because mostly he's been annoying.
I mean, he has been pointing out his father's character flaws, something you've been doing this entire video, and the fact that he's able to turn a sparring bot into a boxing bot. He's done plenty of cool things to endear himself to us. You just didn't notice, I guess.
Why does any robot need 2 heads for any reason? What is the point of this abomination? Is it strictly marketing purposes?
It's so he doesn't have a blind spot.
Seriously, I'm surprised the movie wasn't literally a Rock'em Sock'em Robots adaptation.
How have you not removed even a single sin for these robot fights? Even the people who think this movie is just average say these fights are cool.
Do it!
Right uppercut!
That's your left, but I guess he follows voice commands, so you're all good.
Admits that it's still all good, yet still gives the movie a sin.
Man, seriously, this kid needs to fall down another cliff or something. Hopefully one without a zombie robot ready to catch him.
That might be the coldest thing said against a literal child that I have ever heard. And I've heard Doug Walker making fun of Jake Lloyd every chance he gets.
Charlie boy.
Oh yeah, this asshole. I'm wondering, did we really need him in this movie? This will be 3 minutes worth of fighting that is pretty unnecessary to the movie on the whole, except they need to give the heroes more conflict.
It's not worthless, though. It shows that doing all this robot fighting and betting can actually be dangerous, which prompts Charlie to give Max to his aunt and uncle early before he realizes he was being overprotective.
Also, the movie makes it seem like Ricky is a bad guy, when in fact Charlie didn't pay the money he owed, and fled, and hasn't been a true hero once in this movie.
Charlie hasn't been a true hero once? What about the time he saved his son from his literal death?
I don't want your money, Marvin.
I mean, what a dick this guy is.
But this is the scene that shows he's grown as a person, that he doesn't care about the money anymore. This is proof that Charlie is growing as a person and you just ignored it, even though you've been complaining about it.
Well, he won't even talk to me, so thanks for that, Charlie.
Talk about some thankless roles for awesome actors. Couple that loves Max is actually somehow a secondary villain in this movie.
What? How? Max is pissed at Charlie, not her. Haven't you heard the idea that when humans are mad, they want to be left alone?
Charlie figures, well, I haven't done pretty much anything right in this movie. Might as well lie next to my ex-girlfriend in bed and see if she goes for it. Amazingly, she does.
Again, this guy literally saved Max's life about an hour ago. And you even played that scene. So what do you mean when you say he hasn't done anything right?
Can we do this one last thing?
One night.
One night is all we need, thank you.
Seriously? After you just heard that he was sold, got in a fight, and basically the summary of this movie?
And also his apology that seems to be genuine, and the fact that they got a robot fight.
Yelling, punching things.
Sending this fight.
You have to fight the last round.
Movie steals the Woody Harrelson from Kingpin and gives the main character a chance at redemption by coming out of retirement for the big championship match.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Hope you didn't forget about Shadow Mode, the way our former boxing hero can not only redeem himself, but also win the match and the respect of his kid.
Yeah, none of us forgot about that. That's literally how Adam learned how to box.
Different arms! How can this robot win if he doesn't know right from left?
A lot of the comments pointed this out, but shadowing is mirroring, so that's why it's the opposite arm.
Zeus is slowing down!
Somehow Charlie knew that this state-of-the-art Rocky Marciano of a robot would run out of juice before knocking Adam the f*** out. Luckily, he's right.
I don't see why he wouldn't be right, and I'm sure something similar has probably happened in robot boxing before.
Why does the right cross translate into a left cross for the robot? Shouldn't the shadowing be the exact same arms and everything?
No, it's mirrored. That's the whole point of shadowing.
Winner and still world robot boxing champion.
Movie decides, f*** it, we'll just steal the original Rocky's ending too.
But wouldn't you have seen the movie if Adam did win? That sounds like every other movie ever. So I'm perfectly fine with having a similar ending to Rocky. That's part of what made that movie so good anyway.
People's champion? Sounds pretty good to me.
Yay! I hate him slightly less than the chick who owns Zeus.
Dude, you brought up Rocky, a film that is loved because it's an underdog story. That's literally why people are cheering for Max and why a huge chunk of the comments in this video say this movie is good. Huh? What does his name sounding like Adam from the Bible have anything to do with Huh? What does his name sounding like Adam from the Bible have anything to do with anthropomorphizing? Oh my gosh. Just practicing, trying to say that one if it's gonna go into bloopers. Anthropomorphizing. Is it? No, it's zing, right? I really hope I'm saying this right. Anyway. Huh? What does his name... Huh? What does his name... Oh my gosh. Oh my... Here we go. Huh? What does his name sounding like Adam from the Bible have anything to do with Oh my... Ugh. Almost had it. Huh? What does his name sounding like Adam from the Bible have anything to do with anthropomorphizing... Is it azizing? I don't think so.